chat or via text if you can hear us because we are new to
It
this.
says we've been live for 2 minutes.
Oh man. Anyway,
we started on time by accident. Okay.
right.
So you're listening to Poetry Slam with bellz.
And your boy Napoleon B. Mike.
So this is our second time live streaming our show on YouTube because our radio broadcasting program hasn't been working for us recently. So thank you so much for tuning in on YouTube, and we're probably going to be doing it like this from here on out. So definitely subscribe to our page if you haven't already. So Napoleon B. Mike,
This is our
what's going on with
second
you?
time live streaming our show on YouTube because our radio broadcasting program hasn't been working for us recently. So thank you so much for tuning in on YouTube, and we're probably going to be doing it like this from here on out. So definitely
Working, getting
subscribe
off
to
work,
our
working again.
page if you haven't
So
already.
you literally hit the bed,
So,
bounce
Napoleon B.
off,
Mike,
get your
what's going
shoes
on
back
with
on,
you?
and go back.
Pretty much. So,
Oh, okay. Well, my life has been pretty relaxed. I'm taking summer classes. I'm still looking for a job. And I'm also working on my blog. I talk about reality shows,
Working,
my
getting
personal
off
blog.
work,
And I'm really excited for our
literally
show
hit the
tonight. You
bed,
told me
bounce
before the show
off,
that you're working
get your
on a
shoes
poem.
back on.
right. So apparently they couldn't hear me
Oh,
because
okay.
I was
My
plugged
life
into
has
the
been pretty
wrong
relaxed. I'm
input.
taking summer
But
classes.
we're back
I'm
now.
still looking
So
for a
Okay,
job.
so that just means we have to do our
And I'm
intro
also
again.
working
You're
on
listening
my
to
blog. I
Poetry
talk about
Slam with
reality shows.
bellz.
and your boy Napoleon B. Mike.
And I'm really
Awesome.
excited for our show tonight.
So,
You told me
Napoleon
before
B.
the show that you're
Mike,
working on a poem.
what is your poem
So apparently
about?
they couldn't hear me because
So last week,
I was,
you know how we gave
plugged
each other
into the wrong,
prompts.
input.
Okay,
forgot.
Okay, so
Uh,
listen,
so
we're
that
gonna
just
have
means
to
we have to do our
take
intro
a
again.
brief
You're
break
listening
Kay
before
forgot.
I read my
bellz.
And your
poem
boy
for the
Napoleon
challenge.
B.
So if you
Mike.
could start with a different
Awesome.
poem, that would be
So-
cute.
Oh man, not K. Bellz
I-
forgot.
Admittedly,
so last
I've been
week,
off my
you know how we
rhythm
gave each
because
other
I've been
prompts.
absorbed with trying to do.
Okay, forgot.
Okay, so
It's been
listen, we're gonna have to take a
I
brief
understand.
break
Kay
before
forgot.
It'll just be
I
at the
read
very
my
last
poem
minute.
for the
But
challenge.
complete is
So if you
complete.
can start with a
Right.
different
Complete is
poem, that would be cool.
Right.
Man,
But
not
yeah,
Kay
so
Bellz
that's
forgot.
poems
Admittedly,
we're supposed to
I've
be
been
sharing
off my
today.
rhythm because
I've been working on this
absorbed with trying to do
since
the blog
for a
and
week.
everything.
So I've been
It's been
holding
a
my
week,
end of the bar.
I understand.
I feel like you're
Complete the
throwing something in
challenge.
my
It'll just be at
face
the
right
very
now.
last
Am I
minute.
being overly
But complete is
sensitive
complete.
or
No, it's totally
that-
it's totally shade.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
You know,
what
I would go easy.
poems we're supposed
Why?
to be sharing
Well,
today.
'cause I'm a nice
I've been working on this
person.
Yeah.
since 4 weeks.
Well, I mean,
So I've been
we kind of
holding
know
my
what
end
my
up on-
personality
end of the
is.
bar.
So.
I feel like you're
I'll own
throwing
it.
something
Yeah.
in my
Owning
face
it.
right now.
Yeah.
Am I being overly
All right,
sensitive?
well,
Or
No,
start with
it's
whatever
totally-
poem you
it's
want.
totally
I'll
shade.
just
Big
take the
though.
brunt.
wow.
Yeah.
You know, I
So
would go
I
easy.
will
Why?
Well,
start
'cause I'm a
with
nice person.
a.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Um,
we kind of know what my
let me see.
personality
I'll start with an
is, so-
oldie but
Okay,
goodie.
well, own it.
Yeah.
Owning it.
An oldie but goodie?
Yep,
Alright,
oldie
well,
but goodie.
Start with whatever
This is
poem
giving
you
me the
want. I'll
impression
just take the
that the
brunt.
poem is one of your best of.
Yeah,
So I
yep.
will
Like Mariah Carey, Shake It Off.
start with a.
I would say that.
Let me see. I'll start with an old.
Yep,
oldie
I would
but
say
goodie.
that. Okay,
An oldie but
Okay,
goodie.
you would or you wouldn't?
Oldie but
I
goodie.
would. I would.
This
I
is
would.
giving me the
Okay.
impression
So Napoleon
that
B.
the
Mike
poem
claiming
is
to be
one of your
legendary,
best
very
of.
on brand.
Yeah,
Let's hear the
yep.
poem.
like Mariah Carey, Shake It
All right.
Off.
So this
I would
is
say
my oldie
that,
but goodie, Masochist.
Yep. would
It's
say
on
Okay.
TikTok.
Okay,
If
you would or you wouldn't?
follow me
I
there,
would.
but
I would.
Okay.
here it goes.
So Napoleon B. Mike claiming to be legendary, very on brand.
Doing
Let's hear the
things to
poem.
cause myself pain, not
All right.
physically, but mentally and
So
emotionally.
this is
Losing
my
feelings
oldie but
for the
goodie.
women who have feelings for me
Masochist.
because
It's
they came so
on,
easily.
TikTok.
Chasing the ones who
You
don't
follow
because
me there,
apparently
but
I like a challenge.
Here it goes.
Going from fast text back and FaceTimes
Doing
to being
things
left
to
on
cause
red and not
myself
even getting a
pain,
phone
not
call.
Physically,
For
but
some reason,
mentally and
being
emotionally.
Heartbroken
Losing
is more
feelings
appealing
for
than
the
being
women who have
loved.
Feelings for me.
Intentionally,
because
unintentionally breaking the
they
hearts
came
of
so
those women
easily.
who had actually had feelings for
chasing
me.
the ones who don't because
to get satisfaction to move on to my next
Going
left on
from
red situation.
fast text back and FaceTimes to being left on red.
Frankly,
not
I
even
remember
getting a
that.
phone
That is
call.
an oldie but goodie.
Yeah.
For some reason, being
Yeah, I like that poem.
heartbroken is
it's
more
very
appealing than being loved.
On brand.
descriptive.
Unintentionally-
I didn't want to
unintentionally
say
breaking
on
the
brand
hearts of
twice.
those women
You know,
who
enough time
actually had
hadn't
feelings
passed for me to say on brand again. So I was just going to use more words.
I said it for next.
Thank you. Yeah. That kind of makes
Frankly,
me
I
want to
remember
read an
that.
oldie
That is
but
an
goodie,
oldie but
but
goodie.
I'm gonna have my own
I like that
personality
poem.
and not. do
It's
what you
very
did.
Um,
So
descriptive.
time for me to be
I
a
didn't
little
wanna say
more
on brand
honest.
twice.
I don't
Enough
remember
time
which
hadn't
poems
passed for me to say on brand again.
No.
Yeah,
So I was just going to use
So
more
I'm
words.
going
I said it
to
for you.
read
Thank
a new
you.
poem that I wrote, but I don't know
That
if I
kind of
already.
makes me want to read an oldie but goodie, but I'm
So-
gonna have my own personality and not do what you just did.
So right now we are.
Time for me to be a little more honest. I don't remember which poems I read.
No.
I'm not.
So I'm going to read a new poem that I wrote, but I don't know if I already read it.
Y'all can still hear us,
So-
right? Give us a thumbs up in the
So
chat
right now we
if
are
the sound is better. Cause
Oh man. Oh yeah. Smiley face, thumbs up in the chat if sound is better, please, or just if you
Y'all
know
can
us
still
individually,
hear us,
text
right?
us.
right.
Give us
Um,
thumbs
We're still
up in
trying
the
to figure
chat
out this
if
streaming
the sound is
thing,
better.
you know, and like get the flow right. So feedback helps. Oh yeah, smiley face, thumbs up in the chat if sound is better, please, or just if you know us individually, text us.
Right.
We're still trying to figure out this streaming thing, you know, and like get the flow right. So
Well,
feedback
it's
helps.
overlapping apparently. Like it's giving. It's really like. Apparently it's overlapping. Like it's echoing. So don't blast us because then the echo will blast.
Yeah, we're not gonna blast this. You know, we're loud enough. We've got a lot of inner confidence.
Well, it's overlapping
Um,
apparently.
So should we
Like,
just
it's
continue with the show?
Giving. Yeah, just
it's
let's
really
just figure
apparently
out
it's
the sound as we
overlapping,
go.
like it's echoing.
You think
So
it's
don't blast
overlapping
us
because
because
we
then
did
the
the
echo
same thing
will-
as last time.
Yeah, I just muted us.
Yeah, we're not gonna
um,
blast this.
on
No,
what
we're
we're
loud
using,
enough. We've
so.
got a lot of inner confidence. Okay, so I don't remember
so should we just
exactly what I was
continue with
saying
the
because
show?
that completely
Yeah,
threw
just
me
Oh,
off.
you
I
were
was-
saying you don't remember what
Figure out
poems
the
you
sound as we
read.
go.
No, I remember some of the ones I
It's
read,
overlapping
and I have
because
other new
we did the
ones.
same thing as last
I
time.
know,
Yeah,
I know, I didn't read all
I
of
just
my new
muted us,
poems, so
on what we're using.
I'm going to. Okay, so I don't
know, pick
remember.
one?
I don't know. Did I read all of them?
That completely threw me
Oh,
off.
you were
I-
saying you don't remember what poems you
Okay,
read.
I don't
No,
think I read
remember
brick
some of the
by
ones
brick.
I read, and
Huh.
I have
Did I
other
read
new
I
ones.
don't
Do you
remember
recognize-
either.
I know I didn't read all of my new
So
poems.
I'm going to
so
start out with my poem called Brick
I'm
by
going
Brick
to.
because I don't think
I don't know. Pick one. I don't know. Did I read
read
all of
this.
them?
At least not recently, anyway.
I may have read it last
I
week.
don't
That's
think I
pretty
read
recent.
brick by brick.
Did
I
okay.
read-
I don't
Did you
remember
recognize?
either. No.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with my poem called Brick
Um,
by Brick.
Why is it?
Because
is it two conversations?
I
'cause
don't
it's on.
think I.
No. I don't think it's two
Uh,
conversations.
it's not
because
recent.
on that.
It's like your voices are bouncing.
I may have
back,
read it last
echoing
week. That's pretty
something.
recent.
It's two like it sounds like it's two conversations
Okay,
we
got. Yeah,
happening.
I know. Let's see. Cause we like we said, we're new to
Why?
this.
Is it two conversations? 'Cause
We're
it's
new
on-
to this.
No. I don't think it's two
Situation on
Oh
that.
snap!
Voices
We've
are
got
bouncing
someone
back,
in the
echoing
call.
something. It's two conversations. Like it sounds like it's two
Is that Tay Z?
Yeah,
happening.
I know. Let's see. 'Cause we,
Apparently he can't hear us.
Like
in
we
the
said,
call
we're
either.
new to this.
Oh,
Because we're muted. We're new to this.
Now I can
KDZ.
hear
Oh,
you.
okay, cool.
Oh snap! We've got someone in the call.
Oh.
Is that
everybody with the
KDZ?
music? K
Oh,
Bells.
dag. We're
Apparently he
KDZ?
can't hear us in the
Hi.
call either.
How are you?
Oh,
Okay.
'cause we're
Well,
muted.
we're trying to figure out how to stop ourselves from
Oh,
echoing,
okay, cool,
and
cool.
I'm about to read my poem that I may or may not have read last week. But let's just, spotlight's
Everybody
on
with
me.
the
I'm gonna have
music.
my moment.
K
Oh,
Bells.
dag.
So this is called Brick by Brick.
KDZ.
How do I mold
Hi.
the lay again?
How are you?
They tell us piece by piece.
We're trying to
Brick by
figure out
brick.
how to stop ourselves
And in
from
time,
echoing, and
you'll
I'm
have a
about to read
house
my
and a
poem
place
that
to
I may or
sleep.
may not have read last
I ask
week, so
again,
let's just,
how do I
you know,
mold my brick?
spotlights on
My
me. I'm
house
gonna have
will
my
be
moment.
like no other. I will live as
So this is
someone
called Brick by
unseen,
Brick.
and they will tell me the same
How do I
thing,
mold
which
the
is
lay
the
again?
path they have
They tell
taken.
us,
In the same
piece by
breath over
piece,
their shoulder, I
brick
hear,
by
take
brick,
away
and in
less
time,
beaten path.
you'll have a house. And
Then
a
I
place
sew
to
my
sleep.
shoes from
I
thread
ask again,
unused
how
before,
do I
through
mold
leather
my brick?
unduplicated, my
My
soul
house
on
will
the
be
floor,
like
God's
no
dirt
other.
awaited my
I will live as
traction.
someone
Hold your
unseen,
tongue,
and
say
they
no
will tell
more,
me the
spoke a
same
woman from the
thing,
door.
which
Ma'am, I
is the
begged,
path they
I
have
know my
taken.
good
In
Lord.
the
His
same
word
breath
escapes you,
over
she
their
tries. I
shoulder,
say no,
hear,
he
take
made the
away
way
less
at the
beaten
sky.
path.
How do I
Then I
mold to
sew
lay
my
again
shoes
with
from
bricks
thread
like no
unused
other,
before,
shoes
through
unseen,
leather
and a path so
unduplicated, my
unique?
soul on the floor. God's
It seems
dirt
no one
awaited
on
my
this earth can
traction.
tell me anything.
Hold your tongue,
My
say
house,
no more,
my
spoke a
life,
woman from the door.
has
Ma'am,
walls,
I
no
begged,
walls.
I know my
Ceiling,
good
no
Lord.
ceiling.
His word escapes me,
Vision,
she tries.
eyes
I say no,
closed,
he made
a
the
knowing,
way
a
at the
power,
sky.
an
How do
instinct
I
that
mold to
answers
lay
to the
again
rhythm
with
of my
bricks like
soul at the
other,
pace of
shoes
my
unseen,
brush
and a
strokes
path
written,
so unique?
spoken 23 years. How
It
do I
seems no one
mold
on
to
this
lay
earth can
again
tell me
when
anything.
23,000
My house,
minds
my life,
pressure my brick,
has
life
walls,
under
no
the
walls.
leaf as the
Ceiling,
pillow
no
below
ceiling.
my dream holds
Vision,
more life,
eyes closed, a
coolness,
knowing, a
another
power,
chance,
an
brick,
instinct
more
that
leather,
answers to the
thread.
rhythm of my
This is
soul
the
at the
truth in
pace of
me,
my
a
brush
continuous
strokes
gift.
written, spoken 23 years. How do I mold to lay again when
Okay, that was my poem
23,000
Brick by Brick.
minds
And once I
pressure my
started, I
brick, life
realized
under the leaf
I read this
as
last
the
week.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
no, no,
even-
no, right.
more life, coolness,
I didn't mean to sing
another
y'all for a
brick,
loop or a
more
spin.
leather, thread.
I really
This
forgot.
is the truth in me.
Oh, okay.
So-
I was tripping out too. I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
Okay, that was my poem Brick by Brick. And once I started, I realized
Maybe that's
I
the
read this
issue.
last week.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
no, no.
even-
So
Right.
this is what we're gonna do.
I didn't mean to
right?
say
We're
y'all
gonna
for
get
a
our
loop or a
feedback
spin.
from our
I
family
really
members and
forgot.
friends as we go throughout the
I
show,
was tripping out too. I
and
was like,
make
wait a minute,
changes
hold up.
as we go along with how we're doing this system through the weeks. So
Maybe that's the issue.
yes.
So
I guess it's my turn again.
this is what we're gonna do.
Right?
Do you hear that whirring?
Get
Yeah.
our feedback
That's
from
bad.
our family
Yeah,
members
no,
and
that's-
friends as we go throughout the show,
Something's going wrong.
and make
Oh,
changes as we go
It's
along.
KDZ
with
that's
Of
causing
course
the
it's
whirring.
Tay.
Why did you introduce that to our
system.
stream? Dang,
through the
man.
weeks.
I've been muted.
Yes.
Oh,
I guess it's
wait.
my
You're not
turn again?
muted. You're not muted.
Tiana?
Not right now, and
Yeah.
the times where I told you I wasn't
That's
muted.
bad.
But for most of
no,
this time, I've been muted.
Oh, okay.
Blame the black man.
It's
Yes.
KDZ
Oh,
that's causing
man.
the whirring. Why did you
Okay,
introduce that to
so
our
I'm
stream?
gonna read
Dang.
another. Hold up, let me see. Wait,
You're not muted. You're not muted.
one
Not
more.
right now, and the times where I told you I wasn't muted. But for most of this time, I've been muted.
Oh, okay.
Blame the black man.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna read another.
I put on the lo-fi. We're trying something new. We've been playing some R&B instrumentals since the airing of our first episode, but Napoleon B might had the idea that we introduce some lo-fi. So hopefully this does a good job of keeping the mood strong.
Right.
Tay DZ, what do you think of
lo-fi. We're
lo-fi
trying
versus
something new.
R&B
We've been playing
instrumentals?
some R&B instrumentals since
R&B
the
is much
airing of
better,
our
but
first
I guess
episode.
lo-fi is all right.
Hey.
Napoleon might have
So
the
now's
idea
my
that we
chance to
introduce
say, R&B
lo-fi.
instrumentals was my
So
idea.
hopefully this does a
Yeah.
good job of keeping
Oh,
We're
man.
trying out Napoleon B Might's thing.
Right.
Okay, not throwing me under the bus. Not like.
Oh, I thought that was the
KDZ,
theme
what do
of the
you think
night.
lo-fi versus R&B
Wow.
instrumentals.
He might
Anyway.
lives under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, Hey. Anyway,
So now is my chance
I'ma
to say,
read
R&B instrumentals was my
a
idea.
two-parter.
We're trying out Napoleon.
Poem I
B.
read before.
Okay, not
On
throwing me
here,
under the bus. Not like.
Oh, I thought that was the
Here
theme of
goes.
the night.
Wow.
This one
Anyway.
is called poetry.
Yeah, I mean, anyway.
Poetry
I'ma read
is my earth,
a
and I
two-parter.
am Superman. I feel stronger when I'm writing, even though I show my weaknesses, my kryptonite, my pains.
Here it goes.
I believe overthinkers and overfeelers
This
make the
one
best poets.
Is
Here's why.
called poetry.
We tend to overthink the slightest things until we write them out,
Poetry is my
breaking
urge,
down every
and I
word ever
am
spoken to
Superman.
us,
I feel
every action
stronger
ever done to
when I'm
us.
writing,
Like,
even though I show
was
my
that for?
weaknesses. My
we also
kryptonite,
break down every
my
emotion we
pains.
have throughout the
I
day.
believe
Like,
overthinkers and overfeelers
if we think
make the
about
best
someone that
poets.
we used
Here's
to
why.
or currently talking
We
to
tend
romantically,
to overthink the slightest
break
things
down
until we
every
write them out. Breaking
emotion,
down every
action,
word
and
ever
words
spoken to
said,
us,
put it
every
into a
action ever
poem
done to
or
us.
3
Like, what
or
was that
4.
for? We also break
Poetry
down
is
every
how
emotion
I
we have
start
throughout the
or
day.
finish
Like,
conversations.
If we think
Figure
about
stuff
someone
out
that we
or
used to or
even
currently
let someone know
talking
how I
to
feel.
romantically,
It's
we break
my
down
emotional
every,
outlet. When I say
emotion,
something
action,
that I
and word
overthought,
said,
people
put
tend to
it into a
say,
poem
you're
or
crazy.
3
It ain't that deep.
or 4.
Or, my favorite saying,
Poetry is how I
you
start
thought way too
or
deep about
finish
that.
conversations.
And I think to
Figure
myself,
stuff out
you're
or
right.
even
It's
let
deeper
someone know how I
than
feel.
that.
It's
Or
my
I
emotional
could think
outlet.
deeper if you want,
When I
but the
say
results might scare
something
you.
that I overthought, people tend to say,
I
"You're
will
crazy.
write a
It ain't
poem
that deep."
when I
Or my
find
favorite
a new
saying,
attraction.
"You
Write
thought
one
way
when I'm
too deep about
sad,
that."
one for when I'm
And I
mad.
think
I
to
will
myself,
personify my
"You're right.
poetry to the
It's
point
deeper
it is a
than that."
walking, talking,
Or
living
I could
being.
think deeper if you want, but the results
Poetry
might scare you.
might be a 6-foot man
I
with
will write
a beard and
poem
tats, or
when I find
a
a
5'2"
new
woman
attraction.
with curves in
Write one
all
when
the
I'm
right
sad,
places.
one for when I'm mad. I will personify my poetry to
Or,
the point
yeah,
it is
or
a
or
walking,
it could be
talking,
me,
living
a 5'6"
being.
man with a patchy beard
Poetry might be
and
a 6-foot
116
man
tatted on his forearm, or
with
it
a
could
beard
be
and
you.
tats, or
And
a
I will make
5'2"
you
woman
feel
with
how I
curves in all
felt
the
in the
right
moment.
places.
I will make you taste the blood or the iron
Yeah,
as
or
this waterfall
or
of
it could
blood
be
flows
me,
from my
a
mouth,
5'6" man with a
because
patchy beard
sometimes writing hurts me
and
physically,
116
but it helps
tatted
me
on his
mentally at the
forearm,
same
or it
time
could be
because
you.
poetry is my therapist.
And I will
It
make you
listens to my
feel
problems with
how
no
I
judgment
felt in the
or
moment.
rebuttal.
I will
Yeah,
make you taste the
my
blood
poems get a
or the
little messy,
iron
but
as this waterfall of
therapy
blood
helps you
flows
through
from my
that, through
mouth,
your mess.
because
I write for me,
sometimes
but it could
writing
help
hurts
someone
me
else who's
physically,
going through what I've gone
but it
through.
helps me mentally at the same
So
time, because
I'm gonna
poetry is
open
my
this book I
therapist.
call my heart
It
and
listens
let
to
you
my
read the
problems with
pages.
no judgment
Just
or
don't
rebuttal.
crease or
Yeah,
tear any of them.
my poems get a little messy, but therapy helps you through your mess. I write for me, but it could help someone else who's going
Okay.
through what I've gone through.
I recognize that.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna open this book I call my heart.
The 6-foot
and let
man
you
with
read the
tats
pages.
part always trips me
Just
out because it makes
don't
me
crease
think that's
or
who you
tear
want to
any
be.
of them.
Sometimes, yeah. But I mean, I'm happy with my height. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I recognize that.
Yeah.
The
So I
6-foot
have
man
my
with
challenge
tats
poem.
part always trips
You
me
have
out
yours
because
done?
it makes me
Yeah.
think that's who you want to be.
So
It's a work in progress.
Sometimes,
Because I
Yeah,
just
but
did
I
it.
mean, I'm happy.
Mine
with
is
my
too.
height,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
so go ahead, Caress, okay?
So
Okay.
last
Yeah.
week, I received the challenge from Napoleon B. Might to take someone else's compliment about me, a compliment that I don't see
So I
in
have my
myself,
challenge poem.
and write a poem about
You
it.
have yours done.
So
Okay. So
It's a work in
coincidentally,
progress.
I'd already been
Because I
thinking
just-
about this
Mine
topic
is
because
too.
I feel like I've been
Okay.
working pretty hard
So go ahead,
recently,
Caress,
or I've
yeah.
just been worried about a lot of
So
things.
last week,
Like it
I
can be
received a
very
challenge from Napoleon B.
worrisome
Might to take someone else's
to
compliment
have like a lot of
about
works
me,
in progress,
a compliment that I don't
and it can be very
see
relieving
in
to
myself
have a lot of results.
and write a
So I
poem
feel like
about it.
I'm in the mode of
So,
having a lot of running channels, but nothing at the finish line.
Coincidentally, I'd already
Mhm.
been thinking about.
So I've
this
already been
topic
like
because I
thinking
feel like I've
about
been working
the
pretty
compliment
hard
that I've
recently.
received.
I've just been worried about a lot of things.
So here we go.
Like it can be very worrisome to have like a lot of works in progress, and it can be very.
I guess I'll call
relieving
this
to have a lot
hard
of
worker.
results. So I feel like I'm
You think I'm
in
a
the
hard
mode
worker,
of having a lot of running
but I think I
channels,
don't
but
work
nothing at the
hard
finish
enough.
line.
Mm-hmm.
I dream about
So
sleeping
I've
in
already
the
been
office,
like thinking about.
and it hurts me
compliment
that
that I've
people know my
received.
sleeping bag is in the closet.
So here we go.
I want to roll it out. I want to be the hardest worker, someone who schedules their time perfectly.
I guess I'll call this
because
hard
if the
worker.
results aren't perfect,
You think
are
I'm
they
a
worth
hard
it?
worker?
I
But
can't
I
get
think
my
I don't
mind
work
to
hard
stop
enough.
thinking, my
I
belly to
dream
stop
about sleeping
feeling.
in the office.
I want to be the
And it
best
hurts
at
me that people
something.
know my
And if
sleeping
I'm
bag
not
is in
that,
the closet.
I'm nothing.
I want to roll
Thank you
it
for the
out.
compliment.
I want to be
I'm
the
still
hardest
deciding
worker,
what to do with it.
someone who schedules their time perfectly. Because if the results aren't
Okay.
perfect, are they worth it?
Hard worker.
I can't get my mind to stop thinking.
Thank you,
my
Napoleon
belly to stop
B-Mite.
feeling. I want to be the best at
I
something.
see you.
And if I'm not that, I'm
All right,
nothing.
let's hear your
Thank you
challenge
for the
poem.
compliment. I'm still deciding what to do with it.
So it's called Confidence
Okay.
Can Be a
Hard
Natural
worker.
Disaster. Go ahead and fade me.
Thank you, Napoleon B-Mite.
All right.
I
So
see you.
there are
Alright, let's hear
times
your,
where I
challenge
feel
poem.
like Samuel L. Jackson and King Kong, because
So,
ain't nobody got
it's
nothing
called
on me. But
Confidence. Can
there are
be a
also
natural
times
disaster.
where
Go ahead and fade me.
I feel like the smallest bug on the planet
So
liable to get crushed.
there are times
And I know I get my
where I
confidence
feel
from
like
God, but
Samuel L.
sometimes
Jackson
it is
and King
unseen.
Kong, 'cause ain't nobody
like
got
the
nothing
tectonic
on
plates
me.
under
But
the earth, but when stirred
there are
up,
also
it makes its
times
presence known
where
and could cause a
I
9.5
feel like
magnitude earthquake. I am
the
that
smallest
earthquake,
bug on the planet.
but I am also the
Liable
building
to
that
get
gets
crushed.
turned into rubble by
And I
it.
know I get my
I'm
confidence
trying to
from
see
God,
myself
but
more as a hero to my story,
sometimes
but I am a
it is
mess.
unseen.
I
Like
tend
the
to see
tectonic
myself
plates under
as the
the earth.
anti-hero,
But when stirred
the
up,
villain.
it makes its presence
Like a
known
combination
and
of
can cause
Joker
a
and Deadpool.
9.5 magnitude
I know that
earthquake. I am that earthquake.
I know there's a thin
But
line
I'm
between
also
confident
the building
and
that gets
insecure,
turned into
and I
rubble
ride
by
that
it.
line like I'm playing connected
I'm
dots.
trying to see myself more as a hero
There
to
are
my
days
story, but I'm
where
a
I
mess.
just want to put my
I
earbuds
tend to
in
see
and
myself
listen to
as the
music,
anti-hero,
poetry,
even
watch
like a
a YouTube
combination
video,
of Joker and
or even
Deadpool.
scroll through
I know
TikTok
that
and be by
I know there's a
myself.
thin line
But there are
between
also days
confident
where
and
I
insecure,
hold
and
my
I
head
ride
up
that
and
line
walk
like
with the
I'm playing
confidence I
connected
know I
dots.
have. And I know there's
There
a
are
thin line
days
between cocky
where I
and,
just
and
wanna
confident,
put my
and I
earbuds
ride
in
that
and
line too,
listen to music,
hoping to create a
poetry,
picture of myself I
watch
approve
a
of,
YouTube video, or
hoping
even
to
scroll
find
through
that
TikTok
happy medium
and
between
be by
cocky and
myself.
insecure.
But there are also
Being by
days where
myself
I
is
hold my
contradictory
head
for
up
me,
and walk with the confidence
because
I
I am
know
an
I have.
extrovert.
And I know there's a thin
I
line
love being
between
around
cocky
people. I am
and
different.
confident.
I am a rare breed.
And I ride
So
that
I
line
know if I
too,
walked with the confidence of an
hoping to
earthquake,
create a picture
it
of
would shake
myself
people
I
to their
approve
very
of,
core, causing them to stare.
hoping to
But
find that happy
I
medium
don't like
between
being
cocky
stared
and
at.
insecure. Being
There
by
are days
myself
where instead of being an earthquake, I'd rather be a tornado,
because I am an
because at least people will
extrovert.
run and hide from
I
me.
love being around people. I am different.
But
I am
I
a
know
rare breed.
there are storm
So I know
chasers
if I walked with the confidence
waiting,
of an
hoping
earthquake,
to catch a
it
reading
would
from
shake
it
people
before
to
it
their very
passes.
core, causing them to stare.
There are times
But
where I see
I
my
don't like being stared
name
at.
in lights next to
There are
the
days where
some of
instead
the
of being
biggest
an
names in
earthquake, I'd rather
poetry.
be a tornado.
But at the same
Because at
time,
least people will run and hide
I
from
see
me.
myself being stared
But
at by
I know
millions,
there are storm
messing up
chasers
one of my
waiting,
poems.
hoping to catch a reading from it before it passes. There are times where I see my
So you are a
name in
double-sided
lights
coin.
next to
Okay.
some of the biggest names in
I like at the
poetry.
end,
But at the same
in
time,
both scenarios, although one
I see
ends good and one
myself
ends
being
badly.
stared at by millions, messing up one of my
You're still
poems.
imagining yourself famous. And one line that stuck out is, I'm trying
So you are a
to
double-sided coin.
Yeah.
imagine myself
Okay.
as more of a hero
I like
to
the
my story,
end.
but I'm a mess.
In both
I thought that was
scenarios,
funny and
although one ends
relatable.
good and one
And I
ends
kind of
badly.
liked how you changed the flow around in your poem. I think that's the
You're
first
still
time I've heard
imagining
you do
yourself
that.
famous.
So I really liked the style.
And one line that stuck out is, I'm
Thank you.
trying
Thank
to
you. I'm trying. Like I said, it's
imagine
not done yet.
myself as more of a hero
but,
to my story,
yeah.
but I'm a mess.
So that's
thought
what
that
I've
was
been working
funny and
on.
relatable. And I kind of liked
since
how
you
you
gave me
changed
the
the flow around in your poem. I
challenge,
think that's the first
the
time I've
prompt.
heard you do that.
Well, I'm just going to go
So
ahead and
I
take
really
credit
like
here. I mean,
the
I think it helped you
style.
grow. I think it helped
So
you grow
thank
because you
you.
didn't, I don't
Thank you.
think you mentioned a
I'm
woman.
Trying, like I said,
Like,
it's
it
not
was
done
really,
yet. But yeah.
it sounded unique.
So
It sounded unique from you. So
Ever since
I hope you
gave
keep
me
working
the
on it and that you read the finished version
challenge
on the show, because It's sounding
Well, I'm
like
just gonna go ahead and take credit here.
something
I mean,
different.
I think it
and
helped
that's
you
really
grow.
cool. Like to be able to.
I think it helped you grow
stuff
because
as
you
an
didn't. I don't
artist.
think you mentioned a
Yeah,
woman.
I'm
Like it was really.
also trying to work on
It sounded
other
unique. It
poems,
sounded
but
unique
like
from
that
you.
poem takes up
So,
most of my
I hope you keep working on it and that you
time
get the finished
and
version
creative
on the show
ability
because
or creative
it sounded
juices.
something different.
Because it's just
That's
like
really
it's
cool.
a
like,
hard
to be able to complete new stuff
thing
as
to
an
talk
artist.
about sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also is
I'm
like something I
also
need to talk
trying
about
to
more.
work on other
I guess that's
poems,
a
but,
part
like,
of
that poem
the uniqueness that's
takes up
manifesting
most
in
of
the
my,
poem because it's so true.
Time and creative ability
Cool.
or creative juices.
So
Because it's just
at the
like,
end of the show
a
or
hard
somewhere,
thing to
between
talk
now
about
and
sometimes.
10:30, we're gonna give
Yeah.
each
But
other new
also it's like
challenges.
something I need to talk about more.
So
I guess that's
Tay DZ,
a
we still
part
have
of
you on the
The
line. What did you
uniqueness
think
that's
of Napoleon B.
manifesting in
Might's
the poem? Because
poem?
it's so true.
I agree. I'm actually happy that it was the first time
So,
that B
at the
Might
end
had
of
a
the
poem
show,
that
or
didn't involve
somewhere,
a,
between now and
a
10:30, we're
frayed
gonna give
relationship
each
with
other
a
new
woman, or just a
challenges.
relationship with a woman in
Oh my
general.
goodness.
It was very introspective,
So,
actually.
Tay DZ,
You
we still
know,
have you on the
you,
line. What did you think of Napoleon
I
B.
think
Might's poem?
one of probably one of if not probably the best line of the night so far. I think was I hope I can replicate it. You're an extrovert, but and if people and if you could you could walk with the force of an earthquake and shake people to their very core, but you just don't have the heart because you don't like being watched. I thought that was a really nice line. Because sometimes you just want to step to people and be like, yeah, this is me.
Right.
But at the same time, you also don't want eyes on you. Sometimes eyes on you just make you feel weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's me in a nutshell. Like
Yeah.
I like being known, but I don't like being seen at the same time.
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
that is a similar statement to saying I want to be famous because that is the peak
That's me in a
of
nutshell. Like,
my craft, but I don't want the consequences
like
of fame.
Yeah, known pretty much. Like I don't want paparazzi all up in my
like
business.
being
Like
seen at the same time.
Right, people talking about every little thing you do, how many
I feel
babies you have. Like,
that
Nick
is a
Cannon,
similar
he has like 9 kids, but everybody has something to
I
say
wanna
about
be
it on
famous
Twitter. It's
because
like,
that
okay,
is
that's a
the
lot of
peak
kids, but it's also that man's
of
life.
Right.
Like, we're talking about his
But I don't want the
family.
consequences of
Exactly.
fame.
Yeah,
His tribe, get it right. It's not a family, it's a
I don't want
tribe.
paparazzi all up in my business.
See, here we
like,
come with the opinions.
Oh
Right,
man,
people talking about every little thing you do,
Takes a
how many
village.
babies you
He's
have.
creating
like,
that village.
Nick Cannon,
Yeah,
he has
really,
like 9 kids, and everybody
honestly,
has something to
though.
say about it on Twitter. It's
I
like,
understand
okay, that's a lot of
the
kids, but it's also that
perspective
man's
of
life.
because
Right.
you're
Talking
famous
about
doesn't mean you deserve, to be stomped on. I get that, but also, people's opinions come with fame. So it's like
takes a
you
village.
don't have to
He's
regard
creating
them.
that village.
As a famous person, you don't have to regard their opinion. All you have to do is keep living the way you want to live. I can make fun of Nick Cannon, creating his own nation of Israel,
Oh my
or his own
goodness.
tribe of Israel, as long as he wants to. That man can go ahead and create the Cannon clan for all I care. I will still make fun of this man on Twitter.
I think the ideal fame for some artists is you don't want to be criticized personally. You want your work to be criticized. Sort of like that Beyonce example. Like everybody knows Beyonce. She's one of the biggest stars of our time, but we don't know a lot about her personally besides what she is publicized. Like she's married to a very famous rapper, Jay-Z. Okay, we know the names of her kids, but we don't get to see a lot of photos of
You don't want to be
them.
criticized
Well,
personally.
also
You want your
they
work
be at
criticized.
basketball
Sort of like
games,
that
sporting
Beyonce
events. So I mean,
example,
in other sporting
everybody
events. So
knows
it's like
Beyonce. She's one
they
of the biggest
do
stars
get
of our time, but we
their
don't know a lot about
like
her
15
personally
minutes of fame
besides
every
what
now
she's
and again.
publicized.
But
Like,
they don't do a
So-
lot of
She's married to a very
interviews. Like
famous
they're
Yeah,
not
no,
putting
no.
their
Jay-Z.
personal lives
Okay,
out
we
there
know
like,
the
oh
names of
yeah,
her
Jay and
kids,
I
but
went
we
to
don't get to
Hawaii
see a lot
and we
of
did.
photos
No,
of
they're
them.
not quote
Right. Also,
influencers.
they
They're
be at,
just famous people, but they're
basketball
most famous
sporting
for
events. So, I mean,
their
that
music.
In other
Right.
sporting events. So it's like
Yeah,
they
and
do get there.
that's
like
kind of
15
what
minutes
I want to
every
do.
now and again.
Like
But they
So,
don't do a
be
lot
famous
of
for my
interviews.
poetry,
Like,
Yeah,
they're not
no, but
putting
not
their
have a lot
personal
of
lives out there like, oh
people in
yeah,
my
Jay and I
business.
went to Hawaii and we did.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Right.
like you said, that's the
influencers. They're
ideal
just famous people, but they're most famous for their music.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
ideal version of fame.
Yeah, I also
But-
think of. Oh, go ahead.
That's kind
But
of
not a
what
lot
I
of
wanna do.
people
Like,
have that because
be
of
famous for my poetry,
what they did.
but not have a lot of.
I don't think anybody has that. Honestly, I don't think there is not. I don't think there is a famous person on this
That's the
planet
ideal.
who is free from the, I guess, shackles of
That's
public
the ideal
opinion.
version of fame.
I feel like
Yeah, I
the
also
second you
think-
become
okay.
famous,
Not a lot of people.
public
have
opinion
that
is going to weigh you down, no matter what
what
you do. You could be the world's most famous street sweeper, you know, and people, the public opinion will come down on you. You know, I think the only person in history that has never, that I cannot find someone saying a bad word about, I think might be Mr. Rogers.
Steve Jobs.
No. I have bad words for Steve Jobs. There are people who don't like Apple.
I
And
also
no.
learned from his documentary that he used to smell really bad. Like that's negative.
Well, that wasn't known until after he died.
But even then, people have had bad words for Steve Jobs. Like, people don't like Apple's, the tendency for Apple products to have that whole, if it's not an Apple product, it can't work with our product type of deal. People have things to say about his work. He's done some great things. He helped found Pixar. He helped found Apple. But it just doesn't. But like I said, I can't name a single bad thing someone has ever said about Mr. Rogers. I've actually tried. I even looked up I hate Mr. Rogers on Google. Nothing.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, that you can't avoid public opinion as a public figure, but I was just saying I think it's preferred that people have criticism about your work rather than who you are based on like all of the information you're putting out about your personal life. And of course people are going to have like negative opinions about your work. Some people aren't going to like the stuff that you do. People may even still like come up with rumors about you and all that stuff. But I feel that there's benefit to
have criticism about
not being known personally, but just being known for like what you can produce, or like being made famous because of that.
And of course, people are gonna have like
Yeah,
negative.
no, I
opinions
get
about your
that.
work. Some
But
people aren't gonna like the
at
stuff
the same
that
time,
you
it's
do.
like
People may even still like come up with
can't
rumors about
really-
you and all that stuff.
can't really control
But I
it
feel that
sometimes.
There's
Like-
benefit to
I feel like
Like-
you can control what you tell
not being
people.
known.
Well, yeah,
personally.
yeah,
Like
you
Stephen
can-
A. Smith, we don't know if he's married. We don't know if he has kids. If so,
Like
how
being
many?
made famous
Like
because of
we
that.
just know. Like I've tried to look up information
no,
on
I get
him,
that,
and
but
there's nothing. It's like
At
he
the
came
same
from
time, it's
space.
like- but
Can't
the thing
really.
is- well,
Can't really control.
I
it
think-
sometimes. Like
if it wasn't for
I feel like you can control what you tell people.
people,
well, yeah,
Like
you
Stephen
can.
A. Smith,
knowing
we don't know
about
if he's married. We don't
Eminem's
know if he has
kids.
kids. If so, how
Eminem's
many?
kids would have never
we just
been
know, like I tried to
publicized.
look up
The fact that he
information
has
on him,
kids,
and like there's nothing.
would've-
Like he came.
I mean, he
from
put them
space.
out there though.
Well,
like,
no,
didn't he like in his songs? Doesn't
well,
he talk about his real
I
daughter?
think
well,
if it wasn't
I mean,
for
even before that, well,
people
like when
knowing
people
about
diss him,
Eminem's kids,
they tend to
Eminem's kids would have never been
put his kids in it too,
The fact that he has
and that's the worst thing you
Well,
can do.
I
When
mean, he
it comes
put them
to
out there
that.
though.
Well,
like,
no,
didn't he like in his songs? Doesn't he
Harder.
talk about his real daughter?
well, I mean,
But
I mean, I think he
that,
publicized his kids and he
like,
put them in his songs.
when people
Well,
So
diss
I don't
him,
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
well,
They tend
I
to,
mean,
put his
even
kids in it too.
even before
And
then, like
that's the
I
worst
mean,
thing to
yeah,
do when it
because
comes
he
to
did,
Eminem's
but
kids.
like
That just makes it
if he
bad.
didn't,
Hard.
then we would have never known.
Oh, okay.
But like,
But
and then
I mean, I
when
think he
people
publicized
bring his
and
kids
put them
up
in his
in their
songs.
songs
Well,
or
I
whatever,
don't
it's
understand
like
what you're saying.
well,
you're
I mean,
reminded. Because sometimes if you don't really listen to
even-
Eminem, you don't really
even before then,
know.
like, I mean,
Yeah, but
'cause
also
he
Eminem
did,
is someone
but,
who got
like,
famous off of his story, not
if
just
he
his
didn't,
ability.
Yeah,
then we would
yeah.
have never known.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like,
So
and then
I think
when
that's a
people
good
bring his
segue
kids up in their songs or
into
whatever, it's like
us doing Name
you're
That Poem while we
reminded.
have Tay
'Cause
DZ
sometimes
because
if
we
you
actually
don't
didn't
really
get to
listen
this
Eminem,
last
you don't
week.
really-
So we
No.
wanted to do Name That
Yeah,
Poem with
but
a
also
theme
Eminem is someone who
of
got famous
poetry
off his
authors.
story, not just his
Mhm.
ability.
Yeah,
So I'll go
yeah.
first. But before we really like kick the whole thing off, does everyone
I
have
think
at
that's a
least
good
2
segue
poems from their favorite
into
authors or from people that
name that
they
poem while we
are
had
very
TBC,
familiar
because
with?
we actually didn't get to this last week. So we wanted to do name that poem.
I had them, but I need to find
poetry
them again.
authors.
I had them last
So
week,
I'll go
because I thought we were doing it
but
last week.
before
I have
we
to
really, like, kick the
find
whole thing off,
the
does everyone
pages
have at
again.
least 2 poems
As
from
somebody
their favorite
who
authors
tends,
or
I guess,
people
to
that
read more
they
prose
are
than
very
poetry,
familiar with?
finding my favorite poets was very interesting, because I never, in terms of poetry, I've never paid attention to names, only content. So this was very interesting.
Okay, well, while you guys get yourselves together, I'm going to talk about some stuff. So we have a poet named SoundCloud Poet who has supported us at our first open mic back in April, and he has a poetry account, SoundCloud Poet, on Instagram. And this is a poem that he put out that I thought was pretty
while
interesting.
you guys get yourselves together, I'm going to talk about some stuff. So we have a
Give them your
poet
best,
named
but never
SoundCloud
your
poet
last.
who has supported us at our first open mic back in April.
That's it.
And he
That's the
has a
poem.
poetry account, SoundCloud Poet, on
So I
Instagram.
wanted to share that with you
And,
guys.
this
Tate
is
Easy,
a
what's your
poem
very
that he
first
put
thought
out
hearing
that
that?
I thought was pretty interesting.
God, I blinked and I missed it. My first
Give
thought
them your
was,
best, but never your last.
sure, I guess I can try. I can definitely.
That's it.
I can
That's
definitely
the
do
poem.
that.
So I wanted to
I mean,
share
it's
that
a
with
very
you
true
guys.
poem. Yeah, of course.
Tate Easy,
you know,
what's your very first thought hearing that?
I always try my best. Even if my best isn't the best for other people, it is my best. And honestly, that's all you can do. That was my first thought. And yes, I did indeed have that very large thought in the span of 1 second.
Napoleon, be much.
So that was a thinker for me because it was just like, whoa, like give them your best, but you're not your very last. Like,
And honestly, that's all you can do.
I tend
That was
to
my first thought. And yes, I
be
did
like,
indeed have
alright.
that very large
I
thought.
tend to
in the span of 1
overgive
second.
sometimes.
Napoleon,
So
be much.
that was like, so like if I see somebody struggling or somebody comes to me asking like for something, I'd be like, alright, yeah, I could do that. But I also have learned to put a limit on what I give and how much.
I like that you
So that
thought
was
about
like-
it from that perspective
So, like, if I see
because
somebody struggling
it makes
or
me think about the
somebody comes
poem
to
in a
me
different
asking
way. I mean, truthfully, I don't.
for something,
My
I'd be
first
like,
impression of it was
I
just a
can do
feeling
that.
of amazement, like, oh wow, that's so true. But hearing
I
how you
also have learned to
interpreted
put a
it,
limit.
it makes me
on
realize, well, there
what
is
I
a
give and how
balance with
much.
that because it makes me think.
I like that you
Giving someone all of you isn't the same as giving someone the best of you.
About the poem
And sometimes people come to you with like their
I
projects or what
my
they're
first impression
doing,
of it was just a
and
feeling of
you want to
amazement,
help
like,
with
oh, wow,
that.
That's so true. But
But
hearing how you interpret
you actually
it,
don't have to insert
makes me
so
realize, well, there is
much
a
of
balance
yourself
with that,
into it,
because
and
it makes me
it
think,
becomes a thing of you've given all of this
giving someone
energy
all
to their
of you
project,
isn't
but they
the
don't
same
really
as
need
giving
all of
someone the
that. They
best of
actually
you.
don't even want it,
And
so that even
sometimes people
lessens the
come to
value
you
because
with,
they're
like,
so
their
tied up in what they're
projects
doing,
or
what
what
they
they're
want it to be,
doing,
and now
and
you
you
have
want
like
to help
depleted
with
all of
that.
your energy on their project,
But
and there's no
you
payoff
actually
for
don't
either
have
of
to
you. So it's like
insert
you've given
so
all,
much of
but it
yourself
wasn't
into
your
it,
best.
and
Right.
it
Yeah.
becomes
So
a thing of you've given all of
another
this
thing is,
energy
like,
to their project, but they don't really
I've
need all of
like
that.
you made
They
me
actually don't
even
even want it,
think
so that
deeper
even lessens
than I was
the value
thinking.
because they're
Like
so
I
tied
was
up in
very,
what
I
they're
was
doing,
thinking
what they
very
want it to
like
be, and now you have like depleted all of your energy on their project. And
well, I
there's
was
no
thinking
payoff for either of
energy
you. So it's like
level
you've
as
given
well, but I was
all,
also thinking
but
like
it
monetary.
wasn't your best.
Right. Like
Yeah, so
I tend like
another
in the
thing is,
beginning, like when I first started
I've-
like having
like,
a
you
job
made
and
me
everything,
even think
I would
deeper than I was thinking. Like
I would
I was thinking very like
tend to give more than I was getting in.
well, I was thinking energy level as well.
That
but I
sounds
was
like you
also
were working for
thinking,
free.
like,
You never do
monetary.
that. You're hired, you do
Like-
nothing for free.
I tend
No,
like in the beginning, like when I first started
I would
having a job and everything. I would
give out money,
I would
more money than I was getting
tend
in.
to
Like
give
Oh,
more
common
getting
financial
in.
mistake.
yeah, so like I would
sounds
just
like
be
you were
like,
working for
oh,
free.
you
You
need
never do
this much?
that.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
You're hired. You do
And
nothing
then,
for free.
No, like so.
well, my mom made me
like,
realize that
I
was
would
like
um
you're
give
being
out
taken
money,
advantage sometimes. So it's
more
like,
money than I was getting
yeah.
in.
So
Like,
it's like,
Oh,
so in terms of
common
that, that's what I
financial
would say.
mistake.
I would
yeah. So
give
like
my
I would
last.
just be like, oh, you need this
So
much?
like
I got you. And then
I would tend to, like I said, I
my mom made me realize that was
I would
like,
overgive and
you're being taken advantage
and just be
sometimes.
like,
So it's like,
oh, you need this much? I
yeah.
got you.
So
I
it's
can
like,
do that for you.
so in
Wow,
terms
that
of
was
that,
never
that's what I
me.
would say.
You can't
I
get
would
a dollar from me. You can
give
be like,
my
I need $1 to
last.
take a shower,
So,
at
like,
the
I
park
would
and ride, and I'll be
tend
like,
to, like I said,
I don't have $1 to give you.
I would overgive and
Like, this is my last dollar.
just
I gotta
be
keep
like,
my dollar,
oh,
even
you
though
need this much?
your purpose for my dollar is very awesome.
Wow,
And
This is my dollar.
Like, you can't get $1
Mm.
from
So
me. You can be
No,
like,
I get that.
I need
get
$1
that.
to
that's
take a shower.
interesting.
You know,
Yeah.
at the
No, see,
at the park and ride.
because
and
I
I'll be
would
like,
I would just be
I don't have $1 to give.
I would just be the type that would just you know
Like,
just
this
give
is my
to
last
give.
dollar. I gotta keep
Because
my dollar, even
I
though
also knew it was
your
gonna
purpose
come
for
back,
my dollar is very
Right.
awesome.
but it was like
This is my dollar.
I
Mm.
wouldn't really
So-
have
No, I
much
get that. I
to
get that.
That's
for myself.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, see,
So I would just
because
Yeah.
I would just be
This is telling
I would
me
just be the
that
type
you
that
don't
would
have
just,
small ears because
know,
everybody knows
just
that
give
people with
to give.
small ears are stingy.
Because
Clearly,
I also
I have
knew it
small
was gonna
ears,
come back.
but I think it's really cool
Right.
that you
But it
give
was
so
like-
selflessly.
I wouldn't
I don't know.
really
Even though I have
much
siblings,
to- for myself.
you know,
Yeah.
So I
I
would just
always have my own stuff.
mm-hmm.
This
So
is telling me that you don't.
growing
have
up, I didn't
small
have to
ears
share
because
much.
everybody
Like I
knows
grew
that
up
people
with an
small
older
ears are
brother, so
stingy.
he had his
Clearly,
own
I have
interests, his
small
own room,
ears.
his own
But I
things,
think
and
it's
I
really
had
cool that you
my
give
own
so
interests, my own
selflessly.
stuff. And so
I don't know. Even though I have siblings,
I guess I never really had to share much,
you know,
which I guess is
I
a good thing.
always
and a
have my
bad
own
thing.
stuff.
Yeah.
So do you
So,
think you had to share much
Growing up, I didn't have to share
or is that
much.
just
like I grew up with an older
personality
brother,
trait?
So he had his
So,
own interests, his own room, his own things, and I had my own
it was
interests,
just
my own
a
stuff.
it was just
So,
a personality trait.
I guess I
Oh,
never really
alright.
had
I
to share.
I also like
Which I guess is
I
a good thing and a bad thing.
I
yeah.
I
So do you think you had to share much
I
growing
was,
up, or is that just
me and my
a
younger brother
personality trait?
So
we would share. We had to
it was just a
we would have
It was just
to
a
share
personality
Oh,
we would have to
alright.
share
I
a
also,
room for a
like,
little
I-
bit
I-
or something
I,
like that. No, I not my younger
I-
brother. So
I was
I
me
actually
and my
had
younger brother.
family stay over at my house
We would
when I was
share,
younger.
We had to,
and I ended up having to share my room.
we would have to
for a little bit,
share.
I've
we
never
had to
really been
share
stingy.
A room for a little bit. or
Not
something
stingy.
like that.
Not
No,
stingy.
I-
I've never
I-
really
I-
been
my younger
the
brother,
type
so,
not to share.
Oh, I share with
I actually had,
limitations. All right. So we haven't
family
read
stay
poems in
over
a
at my
while. Let's
house
get on to our game
when I
Name
was
That
younger,
Poem. So if you're
and
new
I
to the
ended up having
show,
to
the
share my
concept
room
is we're going
for a little
to
bit, but
do a poetry cover.
I've
We're
never
going to
really
read
been
another
stingy.
poet's
not
poem
stingy. Not stingy.
that our
I've
listeners
never really
haven't heard
been
of, and
the
we're
type
going
not
to
share.
name that poem.
Oh,
So
I share
hopefully
with limitations. All
you
right.
guessed the name right.
So we haven't read poems
But if
in a
not,
while. Let's get on to our game.
no
Name
prize.
That poem.
Okay.
So if you're new to
Okay,
the show,
so
the
Tay
concept
DZ,
is
since
we're
you're our
going to
guest, are you ready to
do
go?
a poetry cover. We're going to read another poet's
Yeah,
poem
I'm ready to
that our
go.
listeners
I
haven't
can
heard
go ahead
of,
and read
and
this
we're
first
going
poem.
to
Okay, go
name
ahead.
that poem. So
So
hopefully
I just
you
read
guessed
the
the name
poem.
right.
Don't say the
But
name
if not,
or the artist.
no prize. Okay. Okay, so Tay DZ, since
Okay.
you're our guest, are you
No,
ready to
read-
go?
let me
you
read-
say the name of the artist,
Okay.
not the name.
The name of the poet for this one, his name is Andre Breton, and this is his poem. I liked it, but never knew who made it. So let me read this. There is a silk ladder
You say
unrolled
the
across
name
the
of the
ivy.
artist.
There is that leaning over the precipice of the hopeless fusion of your presence and absence. I have found the secret of loving you always for the first time. I liked it, but never knew who made it. That's it. There is a
Okay.
silk ladder unrolled across the ivy.
Well, that's really sweet.
That leaning over
Very romantic. Who?
fusion of your presence.
Oh.
I have found the secret of loving you always for the first time.
Name that poem. Loving you.
Okay.
The answer is.
Well, wait.
We each have to guess. Take it easy.
My bad.
Very romantic.
The love I've always felt.
Oh.
Yeah, you're both wrong.
You know.
Name that poem.
All right. Well, what is it?
Always for the first time.
See? No, we've been hanging around Kay too
have to
long
guess,
because that's what Kay does. She always picks a poem that the name doesn't match the poem, and I hate it.
He said that's the last line. He says it.
All right. Well, what is it?
You're tripping. All right. So, Napoleon, be my. Do you want to go next?
Yes, I will
That's
go
what Kay
next.
does. She always picks.
Go.
This one
poem
is by
the name
Rudy
doesn't match
Francisco.
the poem.
One of my favorite
Hate it.
poets, by the way.
That's the last line. He says it.
I wish you a steady hand, great lighting,
Tripping. All right.
the perfect angle, and enough
Napoleon, be my.
storage space to save the
Yes,
results.
I will go next.
May you snap
Go.
the picture at the right
This one
time,
is by
eyes open
Rudy Francisco.
and smiling
One of my favorite
with your
poets,
entire
by the way.
face. Months from now, I
I
hope
wish you a
you
steady
stumble
hand,
across the
great
picture
lighting, the perfect
and are
angle,
ambushed by your own
and enough
millions.
storage space to save the results.
Name that
May
poem.
you snap the picture
Memory.
at the right time.
Mm.
Eyes open
Dang.
Mm.
and
Oh
smiling
man.
with your entire face. Months
The
from now,
the
I
picture.
hope you
Close.
stumble across the picture
Selfie.
and are ambushed by your
Okay,
own
come on. So memory was not that bad of a guess because
Name
a
that
picture
poem.
is a tangible memory. Like it's a caption.
Mm.
Come on now. All right.
Oh, man.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Eh. Mm.
So
How does it feel?
Selfie.
don't look at the computer. So
How does it feel, Kay?
Okay, come on.
It doesn't.
So memory was
I'm-
not that bad of a guess.
it's cool. We're not
because
keeping
a picture
points.
is a tangible memory.
So my poem
caption.
is by
Come
Jacqueline
on
Woodson,
now. All right.
and I discovered her when I was just maybe 14 years old because I picked up her book in Ollie's. You don't know what Ollie's is? It's a
How does it feel?
discount store.
Don't look at the computers.
And
How does it feel,
I picked up
Kay?
her book
It
Beneath the
doesn't.
Meth Moon,
I'm-
and that was really the first
cool. We're not keeping
poetry
points.
book that I picked out and read
my
like on my
poem
own.
is by Jacqueline Woodson.
And it wasn't really a
and I
traditional
discovered
like
her when I
poetry
was
book.
just
It
maybe
was
14 years
really
old
like
because I
prose
picked up her
poetry. Like the
book
way
in
she
Ollie's.
tells a
You don't know what Ollie's
narrative
is,
is
it's a
very
discount
lyrical.
store.
And she's a part of the
I picked up her
the
book
Poetry
Beneath the Meth
Foundation,
and that was really
and she's
the
won like
first
awards
poetry
like as an
book that I
author,
picked out
and I think as a
read,
poet too.
like,
But
on my
she's
and it wasn't really a traditional
known best as
like
an author.
poetry
So
book.
I'm going
It
to
was
read
really
one of
like
her
prose
poems.
poetry. Like the way she tells a narrative is very lyrical.
When I tell my
And
family
she's a part of the
I want to
the
be a
Poetry
writer, they
Foundation.
smile and say,
And she's
"We
won,
see
like,
you in the
awards,
backyard with
like,
your
as an
writing."
author.
They
And I
say,
think as a poet too,
"We
but
hear you
she's,
making up all those stories,
you
and
know, known best
we
as an
used to
author,
write
so
poems.
I'm going to
and
read
It's a
one
good
of her
hobby.
poems.
We see how quiet it keeps you." They say, "Maybe
When
you
I
should
tell
be a
my
teacher,
family,
a
I want
lawyer."
to be a writer.
do
They
hair.
smile and say,
I think
"We
about
see you
it.
in the backyard
I
with
say,
your writing." They say,
and
"We hear
maybe
you
all of us
making up all
know
those
this is
stories,
just another one
and
of my
we
stories.
used to write poems, and it's a good hobby. We see how
Name that
quiet
poem.
it keeps you."
Stories.
They say, "Maybe you should be a teacher."
Oh, dang,
A
you
lawyer.
took mine.
Do hair. I think
The
about it.
backyard.
I say,
When I tell my
and
family.
maybe all of us know.
You know what?
this is
What?
just
You
another
did it
one of my
again.
stories.
Y'all forgot because the very first line is, "When I tell my family
Name that poem.
I want to be a writer." They smile and say, "Come on, come on. You stuck to the end. You need to stick at the beginning and the middle. You gotta try harder." That's all.
When I tell my family.
Okay,
You know
take it
what?
easy. You got
What?
another?
You did it again.
Y'all forgot because the very
Take it
first
easy.
line
I do.
is, "When I tell my family I want to be a writer."
I don't know. I just always thought this one just sounded very mysterious. I never fully knew what it meant. I just like it when poems stump me. I like it when things stump me. It's by Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Take it easy.
Sounds pretty white.
Take it easy. This is an all-inclusive show.
Right. Right. Come on, take it easy.
Let's hear it.
My cot was down by a cypress grove, and I sat by my window the whole night long. A mockingbird's passionate song, and I thought of myself so sad and lone in my life's cold winter that knew no spring, of the mind so weary and sick and wild, of my heart too sad to
Let's
sing.
hear it.
But a smile I smiled in turn, and into my soul there came a ray, in trying to soothe another's woes, mine own had passed away. And I thought of myself so sad and alone in my life.
Name that poem.
Name that poem. I get it now. Of my heart too sad to sing. But a smile I
Ghost.
smiled in turn, and into my
That's a
soul
good
there
one.
came a ray, in trying to soothe another's woes, mine own.
I'm gonna go with memories.
What?
No, you're both wrong.
The way you scrutinized when I said memory, but you're gonna just make my guess plural? Come on now.
See, it's not about what happened before. It's about what he learned. It's called the lesson.
What?
What?
That was a pretty good pick.
Okay.
Bitterness.
Okay.
Let's hear yours.
The way you scrutinized
All
when I
right.
said
This one
memory,
is
but you're gonna
by
just make my guess
Phil
plural?
K.
Come on now.
See,
I hope to live like the dirt. Well, ooh, I hope to love like
That was a
the
pretty
dirt.
good pick.
To embrace eyes closed.
Bitterness. Let's hear yours.
And when left,
Alright,
lay
this
quiet
one
for the
is by,
season. Feel the warmth
Phil
upon
K.
my face, even in silence. And when next year comes,
to live like the
still
dirt.
find the might to
Well,
hold
I hope to
tight.
love like the dirt. To embrace.
Name
eyes
that poem.
closed.
How I hope.
And when left, lay
Wow,
quiet
come
for the
on,
season. Feel the warmth
tight again.
even in silence. And
Date
when
and
the
time.
And when next year comes,
Oh.
still find the might
Okay.
to hold.
I
I
pulled
didn't get that.
I pulled a K-Bells.
Oh,
Name that
come
poem.
on,
I pulled a
bro.
K-Bells.
Oh, man.
I pulled a K-Bells.
All of this spiteful energy.
Tight
Okay.
again.
Mm.
I think he's coming after you,
He
Kay.
is. He's got
Date and
his
time.
arrows. Okay, so this is
KDZ, what's the
pulled-
noise, man?
I pulled a
yeah, we're gonna
K-Bell.
Oh,
I
come
don't know
on.
what that
I
pulled
promise
a
you,
K-Bell.
whenever that whirring happens,
I
it's
pulled a
not me.
K-Bell.
All of this
Okay, so
spiteful
don't mute
energy.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't mute
think he's
yourself,
coming
I
after
guess.
you, Kay.
That's the
He is.
solution to that.
He's got his arrows.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a poem by Robert Frost. And I remember encountering it for the first time in middle school.
I don't know.
And this was like one of the first like poems I ever really quoted like to my friends. And this is kind of an English lesson here. So if you remember this from school, this is the poem you're gonna name.
Poem by Robert Frost.
So
And
listen
I
in, all
remember encountering
brainiacs,
it for the first time in middle
to
school.
Robert Frost's
And
poem.
this was like one of the first like poems I ever really quoted like to
Nature's
my
first
friends.
green is gold,
And this is
her
kind of
hardest hue to
an
hold.
English lesson.
Her early
here.
leaves
so
a flower,
If you remember this
but
from
only
school,
so an hour.
This is the poem.
Then
you're
leaf
gonna
subsides to leaf, so Eden
So
sank
listen
to
in, all
grief.
brainiacs.
So dawn goes down to
to
day.
Robert Frost's
Nothing
poem.
gold can stay. Name that poem.
Nature's
As
first
time
green is
passes.
gold, her hardest hue to hold.
He took my
It's a
guess.
flower.
Okay.
Hey, DZ, that's getting old. This he
Then
took my
leaves
guess.
subsides
Come
to
on,
leaf.
man. What's your
He
thought?
did.
Sank to
I
grief.
don't know
The dawn
anymore.
goes down to day. Nothing gold can
Time.
stay.
Time.
Name that poem.
As
Y'all are
time
both
passes.
wrong. Okay, so This is called Nothing Gold Can Stay.
Of course.
Hey, that's
Of
pretty
course.
old.
That's the last line.
Of course.
Come on.
That's the last line, and also that's what the poem is about. He's basically saying, nature's first green is gold, the hardest hue to hold, like holding on to youth, right?
Oh, I guess I'll
Her
let you
early leaves to
pass with
flower,
that.
but only so an hour.
I guess I'll let you pass with that.
What? This is facts.
I guess I'll let you
This is
pass
so-
with that.
This is such an old poem,
last
too.
line.
Okay,
Of
and Robert
That's the
Frost,
last
he's
line.
also
Also,
the
that's what
author
the
of
poem
the
is
famous
about. He's
poem
basically saying,
Road Not
Nature's
Taken.
first green is gold.
You
the
know?
hardest
I
hue to
guess
hold,
I'll
like
let you
holding on
pass
to
with
youth.
that.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
I guess I'll
Her
let you
early
pass
leaves to
can't believe
flower,
I
but
like
only
these.
so an
I
hour.
guess I'll let you
Because I'm
pass
picking
with
these
that.
great poems that you've never heard
I
of.
guess
No,
I'll
they
let
are
you
great
pass with
poems. I will give you that.
Old poems,
But
too, okay.
the name of the
Robert
poems-
Frost, he's also the author of
You,
the
you
famous
trick
poem
us. You trick
Road
us.
Not Taken.
Right.
Sometimes I'll give you that one.
You know?
I guess
I'll give
let
you that
pass
one.
with that.
But
Oh my gosh.
that's only because
y'all are
the
being-
poems you picked in the past
I'm picking these great poems that you've never heard
usually
of.
have
No, they are
nothing
great poems. I will
in
give you that.
the poem
But
that gives you
the
an
name of the
idea of what it
poems-
talks about.
You need to
trick
let
us.
go of that.
You trick us.
No, I'm holding on to that like
But that's because that's
Uh,
only because
chimpanzee
the
holds on to
poems
ba-
you
a
picked in
banana.
the past
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
usually
Okay,
have
wow.
nothing in the,
Uh,
in the poem
on
that
Robert
gives you
Frost,
an
his
idea of what it
poem,
talks about.
Nothing Gold Can Stay is
You need to
quoted
let go of
in
that.
The Outsiders by S.E.
No,
Hinton, which is being
I'm
adapted
holding
into-
on to that like
it's sort of like a West Side
chimpanzee
Story
holds on
type
to
of movie where
a
there
banana.
are like two gangs,
Wow.
and they're all
Okay,
teenagers,
wow.
sort of thing. So,
on Robert
you guys have
Frost,
thirds,
his
or
poem,
should I just?
Nothing Gold Can
All right.
Stay is quoted
Well,
in
I
The
can look
Outsiders
for
by
a third
S.E.
while you
Hinton,
do
which is
yours.
being adapted
Okay. I have one.
Uh-oh, Tay
It's sort of like
DZ.
a West
Go
Side
for it.
Story type of movie where there are like two gangs. And, they're all
Laugh
teenagers.
and the world laughs with you.
So,
Weep and you weep
do you guys
alone.
have thirds?
For the sad
Or
old
should I
earth must
just-
borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough on its own. Name then.
Trouble.
Uh-oh, Tay DZ.
Crying.
Go for it.
No and no. This is a poem by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. The poem is called Solitude.
No.
I went
No.
No?
No. No.
How about you study
No.
your poetry? Study your poetry so
No.
you can name
No.
these poems.
No. This is not right. You took a page from Kay's book again.
Well, see, it's not about what's being said. It's about what's being said. You know?
No.
You're.
No.
It's not about the
No.
word. It's about the
No.
message. You know?
Study your
What's the
poetry
poem
so
about?
you
About
can
solitude.
name
You know?
these
When you're
No.
laughing, everyone's gonna laugh
Not
with
right.
you
You took
because it's
a
easy to
Thank
hang
you,
with
Kay.
somebody
Thank you, Kay.
when you're. But wait, what? Was she on your side now?
You heard that?
Yeah, I did.
That was the womp 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 of the wrong answer. Wrong answer.
I'm how's it the wrong answer?
Thank you, Kay.
All right.
Okay, let's, do you have one, or you want me to go next?
You go next, Kay.
Moving on from TDZ.
You heard that?
I actually planned on going
that was the
last,
womp,
but
womp, womp,
this poem is
womp
by
of the
Rupi
wrong
Kaur.
answer.
And this was the first poetry
Wrong
book
answer.
I bought as either an older teenager or just a young adult, really.
All right.
Do you have one?
and-
Or do you want me to go next?
You go next, Kay.
The first
Moving
poetry
on from
book I
TDZ.
bought from her was called Milk and
I
Honey,
actually planned on
and
going last,
I was
but
obsessed.
this
I was
poem
like,
is
oh
by
wow, this is so
Carr,
deep. This is
and
so
this was the
emotional. This is
first,
so
poetry
good.
book I
And the
bought
challenge
as
with
an
finding a
older
poem
teenager or just a young
by
adult,
Rupi
really.
Kaur for this game was that she doesn't title a lot of her
and
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The first
So
poetry book I
this is
bought,
one
from her
that
was
I just
called,
found off the
Milk and
internet.
Honey, and
Just do your best with it.
I was obsessed.
her stuff is
I was like,
pretty
oh, wow,
direct.
this is so
So,
deep. This is so emotional. This
is
is
a
so
poem.
good. And the challenge
By
with
Rupi
finding
Kaur.
a poem by Rupi Kaur for this game was that
Salt.
she doesn't title a lot
I'll
of
take
her
that with a
stuff.
grain of salt.
So
Pretty
this is
direct.
one that I just found off the internet.
After
just do
feeling
your best with
disconnected
it.
for so
But her
long,
stuff is
my
pretty
mind and
direct.
body are
So,
finally coming back to each
this
other.
is a
Pretty
poem
direct.
by Rupi Kaur.
assault.
Name that poem.
Mind and body.
Oh, that reboot.
After feeling disconnected for so long,
Homebody.
my mind and body are finally
You were
coming back
close,
to
Napoleon
each
B.
other.
Mike.
K.
You were close.
K.
Listen to it
It
again.
said nothing about solitude in that poem.
It's about okay,
Name that
listen
poem.
to it again.
Mind
Now
and
that
body.
you know the title, hear the poem again with the title in mind. After feeling disconnected for so long, my mind and
Homebody.
body are finally coming back to
You were
each
close, Napoleon B. Mike.
That has
K.
nothing. That
Homebody.
K. That
Listen to it
it
again.
said
Home.
nothing
Body's
about
home.
solitude
Homebody.
in that poem.
It's not, okay,
What do you
let's
think,
just
Tay
listen to
DZ?
it again. Now that you know
They
the
were
title,
home. They were home.
Oh,
Right.
again with the title.
Lord.
in mind.
That was my. I
feeling
mean,
disconnected for so
I both
long, my
understand
mind
and
and
don't
body are
understand.
finally
I get the
coming
body
back to
part.
each other.
I didn't know they were
No,
home.
that-
All
that-
right.
that-
But
Wow.
maybe
Oh,
I'm
body's
crazy
home.
though.
I guess this is the part of the reason
What do you think,
Ruthie does
Tay DZ?
not name her poems. She
They were
feels
home?
like I'll just
Oh.
name it if
Right.
the feeling comes over me.
Lord.
Otherwise,
That
it's
was
the
my.
text. you
I
know?
both understand
so
and don't
It's
I-
my turn
understand.
again.
I get the body.
All right, then we'll just
I
come
didn't know
back
they
to
were
Rupi Kaur as a
All right.
poet
Wow.
because there's a little bit more to her that I want to
I
mention
guess
on
this
the show.
is the part of the reason Ruby does not name her poems. She feels like I'll just name it if
Dag.
the feeling comes
Sorry.
over
You
me.
you held up the
No,
show
no,
just
no,
to hold up the show.
Okay,
Like,
okay,
you
go
got
ahead,
us
go ahead.
thinking,
I got it. All right.
All right, then
This
we'll just
one
come
is
back to
another one
Rupi
by
Kaur
Rudy
as
Francisco.
a poet because there's a little bit more to her that I want
Look
to
at
mention on
look
the
at
show.
me, walking around, all black and free and ungrateful.
Sorry.
You
How
held up the
dare
show,
I
you
skip
held up the show.
hallelujah.
I got it.
To tell you, the church is
All
on
right.
fire.
This one is another one by Rudy
Name that
Francisco.
poem.
Look at
Church
look at
is on fire.
Walking around, all black and free and ungrateful. How dare I skip
not
a
black.
hallelujah
to
Nope.
tell you the
and
church
nope.
is on fire.
Hallelujah.
Come on.
Name that
All
poem.
right.
It said it in the poem.
Yeah,
Church is on
it was
fire.
said in the poem. You're right. Oh man, I thought we would have a little bit of an edge there, Tay DZ, because we heard
black.
that poet's poem earlier in the show, but that didn't help at
And
all.
nope.
Hallelujah.
So early.
Spiteful.
It said
He
it
said
in the poem.
spiteful.
Yeah, you are, B
Said the
Mike.
poem, you're right.
What do you mean on spiteful? I'm not
Man, I
spiteful.
thought we would
I
have a
just
little bit of
choose.
an edge
I
there,
just happen to
KDZ,
choose
because
poem
we heard that
which
poet's
say
poem earlier
the
in the show.
theme in the
That didn't
poem.
help at all.
All right, let's keep the energy
So early-
positive.
It said spiteful.
So earlier in the show, we
Yeah, you
read
are,
a
B Mike.
poem by someone named
What do you
SoundCloud Poet,
mean
and he had a poem on
spiteful? I'm not
Instagram.
spiteful.
So it's very
I just
popular to put
choose po- I
poetry
just
on
happen to choose
Instagram
poem
nowadays. But
which
Rupi Kaur is
say
actually one of the
theme in the poem.
famous poets now. She has
All
books
right, let's
out. Her
keep the
name is
energy
like
positive.
well known
So
among
earlier in
contemporaries.
the show, we read
But she
a
actually,
poem
like,
by
was one
someone
of
named
the-
SoundCloud Poet, and
She
he had
actually
a
got
poem
her
on Instagram.
poems like
So it's
her
very
poetry
popular to put
famous like
poetry
through
on
Instagram.
Mm.
So like there's this
Nowadays,
article
but Rupi
about
Kaur is
her
actually one of
that's
the,
from 4 years ago,
like,
and it
famous
basically
poets
talks
now.
about
She has books out.
the
Her
title is
name
called "How
like,
Instagram Saved
well-known,
Poetry."
of-
And
of
how social it's about how
contemporaries.
social media is
But
turning
she
an art form into an
actually,
industry.
like, was one of
And it
the-
mentions her because
She actually got her
it was very
poems, like,
instrumental
poetry
in like
famous,
getting
like,
Rupi
through
Kaur's career
Instagram.
off the
So, like, there's
ground.
this article.
So I kind of
about
wanted to
her,
talk about
that's from
how
4
there's
years
Twitter
ago, and it
poetry,
basically
Instagram
talks
poetry,
about-
and just how
the title
social
is called How
media
Instagram
helps
Saved
the
Poetry,
is helping the medium
and how
to
social, it's about how
evolve.
social media is turning an art form into an industry, and it mentions her
Yeah.
because it was very instrumental.
Right.
in,
Yeah.
I
like,
mean,
getting
social media
Rupi Kaur's
poets, are they
career
as
off the
legitimate
ground.
as traditional
So I
poets
kind of wanted
who
to talk about
publish books
how there's Twitter
or
poetry, Instagram poetry,
you
and
know
just how
adapt
social
to
media
a
helps the
traditional
helping the
rhythm
medium
like
to evolve.
iambic pentameter?
Okay, so
Yeah.
social media poets and poets
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, social
who
media poets, are they as legitimate as traditional
have
poets
books.
who publish books or adapt to a
okay, so I
traditional
believe
rhythm, like
they
iambic
do hold
pentameter?
up their
Okay, so social media poets
Authenticity.
and poets who
because
have books.
Um, even though it's not a physical book, it can
Okay,
be
so
read
I
like a book.
believe they do
Like
hold up
you can
their
scroll through someone's Instagram feed or
authenticity
go through their
because
YouTube channel and listen to their
even
poems,
though it's not a physical
and
book,
it feels
it can be
like you're
read
reading
like
the book or
like
reading a book.
you can scroll
Sometimes.
through someone's Instagram feed or
Katie
go
Z,
through
what's your thought on
their
the question? Are social media
YouTube
poets
channel
as
and
legitimate
listen
and
to their
valuable
poems,
as traditional
and
poets?
it
And what do you think about
feels
how the
like you're
medium of
reading the
poetry
book
is evolving to fit
or reading a
our
book
world?
sometimes.
Why wouldn't it be as legitimate?
Katie Z, what's your thought on the question? Are social
The
media
best talent
poets as
gravitate towards the
legitimate
best
and
platform.
valuable as
Social
traditional
media is the
poets?
best platform to
And what
get
do
your
you think
stuff out
about
there.
how the medium
As a
of
poet, why
poetry is
wouldn't it?
evolving to fit
Yeah.
our world?
It's like with art, or like with artists on social media. They're legitimate artists, despite the fact they may not have a official book or like an official show, but they're definitely legitimate. As for like the changing landscape, well, I feel like I feel like social media is the best way to put out your content if you are, especially if you're like a poet, a writer in general. I feel like people aren't, and it's unfortunate, people aren't buying books like that, or at least, or they might buy an ebook, but a lot of people aren't copies way to put out. So it's like social media is the best way to reach
That's
younger
true.
people.
That's true.
Groupie car is
So
popular
yeah.
among like really millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with your point that books aren't all the rage anymore. Like 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't wait for a book to come out. You know, there would be lines for this stuff. But now, like video, it seems is the preferred medium. If it's not video, then it's audio. And we get those things digitally. So I agree with you. I think it's important for artists to stay current with viable methods to get published. It's just another way to publish your work, and it reinforces the current construct that you need an audience. Like you need to have an audience so that you can present yourself to them, like show your stuff to them, and even sell to them.
Mm-hmm. But you know, something is that's equally, I feel like is equally as controversial is um comedians who do stand up on stage and comedians who do skits on YouTube, Instagram, all that. Because I don't know, it's a different platform, yes, but you have to be funnier for longer on stage
Yeah.
than you have to be in a skit. So I understand those comedians who say um, YouTube, I mean Instagram comedians aren't really real comedians, but
Oh.
at the same time, some of the older comedians did have skits on TV.
Yeah. And they even used to do that, I feel, on kid channels, like not just channels like comedies, like adult channels. I remember like Mike's Super Short Show. They would do skits on there, like do little comedy bits. And then like in the early 90s, what was it, All That? That was basically skits for kids.
Okay,
All
all
that
that, yes.
Yeah.
all of that was basically Saturday Night Live for kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
I see what you're saying.
yeah, it's like in one hand I do understand those comedians, but on the other hand it's like some of these comedians who grew up in the industry or grew up um with the is it music playing? Um anyway, those comedians who didn't really grow up with the
Hey, are you here?
Sorry, I'm trying to
Mm.
get the music back. My bad. But those comedians who did grow up on Saturday Night Live or get their fame from Saturday Night Live or In Living Color or stuff like that. I don't understand those comedians saying something like that. And I don't feel like they do because they understand, but it's a different platform as well.
I feel like
Go ahead, Tay.
I feel like every older generation person of some medium tries to say that the newer generation isn't quote unquote doing it right. So it's like I disregard every time somebody says that. Like, comedy is comedy, funny is funny. You know? Comedy is subjective. So what you might not find funny, someone else probably finds funny.
Right.
And B, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you made someone laugh. It doesn't matter if it's a skit, a stand-up special. You could be doing armpit farts. If somebody finds that funny, then it's funny. You know? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me how sometimes they'll, like, you can't insult an Instagram comedian because they do, or like a TikTok comedian because they make short sketches. They're fitting the meme of today. Let's face it, people's attention spans aren't that good nowadays. So yeah, you're gonna do a shorter platform, like a shorter standard for comedy because it's easier to catch people's attention with short, skits. Doesn't invalidate the
I
concept.
definitely get that. So, I mean, even our show, I feel like some, not poets, but people might be like, because I've seen some or I've listened to some podcasts, poetry podcasts, and they're like, there's been like some that are like 20 minutes long. Like, even though we typically have like interesting, well, not to downplay you, TDZ, but we usually have interesting guests.
Okay, shade. This is for calling my co-host spiteful, TDZ.
No, it's not shade. It's not shade at all. But we usually have musical guests, other poet guests. So they talk about their poetry or their music, and then we do our poetry. So, I mean, people don't really, so people won't really just sit down. Well, people will listen and sit down and listen to us, but like those people who are who do the poetry podcasts that are like 20 minutes long, those keep people's attentions better.
Honestly, you saying that makes me remember that there used to be a thing like of poetry albums, but it's just not very or as popular now as it was. I don't know how long ago. But
No, see, poetry albums keep my attention fine. But like,
well, I'm just saying like it's not surging in popularity right now. But I think that that's something that would keep someone's attention today. It's just, it's not like as popular right now as reading poetry on Twitter or Instagram. It's not the preferred medium. So this is something that could have a resurgence.
Right. So if you're listening to our show, share with your friends, your family, all that good stuff, because we're on the rise. We are really on the rise.
Yes, we are.
We're on the rise.
Yes, and just to like tie up this topic of poets having success on social media, just like some more context on Rupi Kaur's story. She wasn't the first to like do this, to start on social media and then get really big. Like there have been plenty of other poets to do this. She's just like the primary case study in this story that I referenced. And her story is pretty interesting because the book that I read, Milk and Honey, it sold 3.5 million copies. So it stole the position of best-selling poetry book from the Odyssey. We all know the Odyssey, right? By Homer.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes,
That
that is a
Odyssey?
very, very old book.
Yeah, really. Older than the Bible.
Hey,
Golly.
yo.
Yes, the Odyssey by Homer.
Not
So
older than the Bible, bro.
It is, though.
it's very, very old. So the fact that she sold more copies of her book than the Odyssey, that's what has like, that's why she's the center of this story right here. But other people have similar stories. Like for her, she started like publishing her stuff on Tumblr, then she switched to Instagram, and then she made a poetry book, and then she got a lot of sales on her book. So it seems like the pattern is that poets will start posting their stuff on social media, they'll get a little bit of a following, and eventually they'll put out a book. And a book can retail as like, quote, a high ticket item. So you can sell your book for $5 and get $2 back in like profit, right? So like that's how you actually start making money, like from your craft, when you can sell something. And yeah.
So
Marketing yourself.
speaking
is the
of
main
poetry
benefit.
books, right?
Yes, the check-in.
Right. I've been thinking, right? And I just looked up like one of the like I said, Rudy Francisco, he's one of my favorite poets. His first book was 16 poems.
Were they long?
Probably not. But like I don't know. I feel like I'm overthinking my book because
You very well may be, especially, let me tell you why. Because there are people who don't consider themselves poets, who have published poetry books. And a prime example of this is Gabby Hanna, who is a very popular YouTuber. And as a matter of fact, she was accused later of stealing her poems from Twitter. Like, the originality of her poetry book was called into question. But I don't know. I just think it should be said that ebooks nowadays don't necessarily have to be like meet traditional publishing standards. You can put something together, even if it's 10 pages, and sell it as your poetry book.
so just to like give a reference of how many poems I actually like have in my my repertoire. I have 138 poems.
That's a lot of poems. Definitely strip that down so you can talk about a theme or, tell a story.
So, and like some of them are like little thoughts of some of these notes are little like thoughts, just to kind of like just starter thoughts for a poem. So I don't know how many are actually written out poems.
So that has to be taken out unless you're going to finish those.
Yeah, no. So like this is just my note section on my phone of my poems. So, and I mean it's possible that I've read 138. No.
We've had enough shows for you to do that, like in little pieces.
Yeah.
With the length of our show.
Yeah. So it's possible that I've read all the poems that I have written out. So it's just like, I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there are little things that I have yet to read on here. There's one like note that has a whole bunch of like old freestyles that I have.
Okay, so let's tag back to our goal. So we wanted to have a rough draft of our poetry work done by July 10th. And that's about 30 days away. Literally 30 days away. So how about our challenge for the next show is to present a chapter of your poetry book, and I'll present a chapter of my poetry album. And we'll read it out loud and establish our progress.
Okay. For the next show?
For the next show.
Jeez. Okay.
It doesn't have to be chapter 1. It could be chapter question mark. But maybe just put together enough poems where you think, okay, this could be a chapter. I don't know where, but this is a spot. And I'll do the same with my album. I'll make a chapter. What do you think about this challenge, TDZ?
I think that's pretty good. Definitely gets y'all on your toes for the actual projects that y'all are passionate about. Into encouraging each other to kind of get your art out there. I think that's really good.
So let me just tell you, my poetry book had been in the works. Well, quote unquote in the works. I don't know. Can y'all see the quote unquote?
Oh, the quotes are seen.
Okay.
The quotes are seen.
Quotes. It's been in the works for about 6 months. I've been talking about it since last year.
Oh, we know. We know.
I'm aware.
So the fact that I haven't gotten it gotten a chapter put together yet is a little yeah.
Embarrassed. No, I'm just kidding. Let's just move along.
No, but it's like all right. So next, besides that, we need to have a poem challenge.
I thought that was a poem challenge.
No, like
you're doing a poetry book, I'm doing a poetry album.
No, so that's something we need to have a collection of, right? That we should already have.
I have to do some writing.
I don't have to do any writing.
Well, let's petition TDZ because that was my challenge idea.
TDZ was my challenge for next.
Our
show.
challenge.
No, like I gave you a prompt, you gave me a prompt.
Right. Okay, so give me prompts. Okay.
See, yes.
Well, I don't have an idea for a prompt. Do you?
TDZ.
Right. Okay, TDZ. What should our poetry prompt be
for next week?
Yes.
Each of you gets one different prompt.
Or you give us the same prompt.
How about y'all take the same prompt? Do a poem. How about you both do a poem about adulthood and fleeting youth.
Oh,
disgusting.
Man. TDZ.
TDZ's thinking about being 30.
I'm not thinking about being nothing. I'm trying to see what do other people think. About getting older.
TDZ is halfway to his midlife crisis already.
Seriously though, you lived a lifetime already, man. You're on your second lifetime.
What? Pardon?
Yeah, that's why after 25 people fall off.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And people when they hit
You slide from
I'm in my prime. Well, actually, no, I haven't hit my prime yet. Wait till I hit my prime. I promise you.
Okay.
Okay, TDZ.
So
In your quarter life.
it's not even a quarter anymore. It's like 33%.
Well, I mean,
It ain't even.
we're not gonna blast his age, but
No, not that.
but it's
Like I'm 50.
Well, that's a midlife. That's half.
yeah. So he's quarter of a quarter way. He's having his quarter life crisis.
What?
So what spurs this prompt? Was it the Nothing Gold Can Stay poem, or is this something you were just thinking about?
I mean, I just graduated, so it's like this is a whole new phase of life. You know, it's a whole different phase. It's like,
Can you give us another prompt?
what you want another?
I already wrote it down. It's solidified.
Okay.
You have to
Does it
face your
the-
fears,
does it the-
Napoleon B. Mike.
I'm already working on a poem about my fears.
Let's say, do you look? I could have easily had said do a poem about what you fear the most, but apparently he's already working on that. So no, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, if you can think of another one, I'll take this prompt, even though I don't want it. It makes me sick.
All right, fine. No. Let me do the prompt then. Y'all apparently fear.
I don't fear. You know, I don't mind facing my fears.
No, it's not that it's not me facing my fears. It's just like I'm kind of already writing that one too.
All right, no, that's cool. Then do a poem.
So this is for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I already have my prompt: adulthood and fleeting youth. Oh,
All right.
okay, you rolled it. All right, we're scrapping it, y'all. We're scrapping it.
Okay, we're scrapping it. Okay, are we officially scrapping it? Okay.
Wait, hold on a second. Napoleon be my
The diva. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I mean, I don't want y'all to do something basic. I want y'all to do something fun. So it's like, I thought that was fun. But okay. Do a poem.
Getting old is not fun.
Right. And then talking about it, getting old and talking about it is not fun.
No, everybody who's old doesn't really want to be old. Like, they say they're old because that's the fact. They're trying to be graceful about it.
Right.
Like, there's nothing worse than a person who's old but doesn't want to face that they're old.
That's hence the midlife crisis. Buying a sports car and breaking up with your wife of 25 years to
That is
Start all over again.
Right.
You have me trapped.
B-Mike, don't start telling us your plans at 50, please.
You ever hear somebody say, I'm planning on having a fourth husband or a fourth wife? I want to get married multiple times.
no.
That's
That's insane.
Okay, guys, we're coming down to the last 2 minutes of our show.
Okay,
so take it easy with the prompt.
All right. The prompt is this is gonna be unique. I want you to do a poem based on a person who is the opposite of you. Assume the role of a character who is the opposite of you in every way, and do a poem about that opposite. Do a poem about the mirror version of K-Bellz and Napoleon B. Might.
Bruh, I'm writing that one right now. That's
How many
confidence.
poems are you writing right now, B. My God?
That's me writing confidence.
That's
Well,
crazy.
writing is rewriting.
No. I want you to assume the role. It's either that or write a poem pretending to be the other person. So B might will write a poem
Yes,
and
yes,
K does a
yes.
poem to
We'll take that one.
This is
We'll take that one. We'll take that one.
All right, write a poem as if I'm Napoleon B. Might.
Write a poem.
Yeah. Remember, I think last semester you were K. You were trying to do B might style poem.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I was really in my feelings.
So you try another B might style poem, but this time write as if you really are B might.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be funny. I'm excited. Thank you for the prompt, Tady Z.
I have to write a K-Bellz style.
Good luck.
You gotta
with that.
Yeah, no, for real.
You have to use like colorful language, be my colorful descriptors, and you know. Okay, you gotta just speak, just talk.
I have to come up with a fictional love interest and
Oh my
pretend that I saw them on a park
Oh
bench,
my
and I
goodness.
knew you were the love of my life. So I had to walk by twice.
Y'all hear this?
And I got
Y'all,
my gloves out my pocket
Y'all
so you
hearing
can see that I
this?
pay my taxes. I got money.
you know what? Y'all hearing this?
It's that time.
Y'all,
I want you to realize she said fictional love interest. Gang.
Oh man.
Dang,
Okay, guys, we're at the
dang.
end of the half hour. Thank you so much, Tady Z, for giving us prompts and featuring on the show. We should have you as a recurring guest. Maybe you can tag in at the end to give us prompts, or even tweet at us or whatever, so we can keep these prompts going. And whenever we talk about news stories, you can give your opinion.
Right.
Okay.
So, we're writing as if we're one another. Jeez.
That's gonna be super fun. This was a great
Visceral.
show.
I gotta think visceral.
You gotta think color.
The censor is behind the yeah.
Okay, so let's sign off really quick. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching us and listening. This has been Poetry Slam with Tady Z. Say your name.
Take it easy.
K Bellz and
Your boy Napoleon B. Mike. Good night, y'all.